Metaphysics and Politics, a philosophical exploration of ideological foundations, Part 6. The Deepening Materialist Critique, Socialism as an Intermediate Collectivist Stage. Following democratic socialism's reformist integration of ethical humanism with democratic processes, seeking gradual equity through electoral means while preserving pluralism, we delve deeper into the materialist side of the metaphysical spectrum, where ideologies prioritize empirical analysis of economic and social forces over transcendent or rationalistic neutrality. This progression logically follows from the perceived inadequacies of mixed economies. As industrial capitalism's disparities intensified in the 19th century, thinkers advocated for a more comprehensive state intervention to address systemic inequalities, viewing material conditions as the primary drivers of human progress. Objectively, this shift represents a rational extension of democratic socialism's principles, moving from evolutionary reforms to structured collectivization, yet without the revolutionary absolutism of farther extremes. Historical developments, such as the rise of trade unions and early welfare experiments in Europe, exemplify how socialism emerged as a bridge, influencing policies that nationalize industries to mitigate market failures without fully dismantling private incentives. As an intermediate category on our materialist end, socialism advocates for collective or state ownership of key production means to ensure social welfare and reduce inequality, serving as a precursor to more radical variants like communism and anarchism. Metaphysically, it is primarily grounded in materialist critiques of society, influenced by Enlightenment rationalism and early Marxist dialectics, which emphasize historical and economic determinism over spiritual or divine elements. This foundation focuses on tangible disparities in the material world, deriving egalitarian principles from reason and empathy rather than transcendent hierarchies. Though not strictly atheistic, it often aligns with secular humanism, viewing progress as attainable through social reform without recourse to higher powers. Rationally, this approach assumes that ethical norms arise from observable human needs and class relations, enabling a systematic redistribution that addresses exploitation. However, it presupposes that centralized planning can efficiently mirror these dynamics, potentially overlooking the complexities of individual motivations if metaphysical anchors for personal dignity are sidelined. Socially and politically, socialism organizes society through public or worker-controlled management of industries, with the state or cooperatives handling distribution for the common good via planning committees, unions, or democratic processes. This involves progressive taxation, nationalization of resources, and welfare provisions to foster a classless trajectory, ranging from market-inclusive variants to centralized models like Soviet-style planning. Governance can blend democratic elements with institutional authority, aiming for equity through regulated allocation. Logically, the structure posits that collective ownership rectifies capitalism's inefficiencies, assuming state mechanisms enhance welfare without undue coercion. Yet, it rationally hinges on effective administration to avoid bureaucratic inertia or resource misallocation. Distinguishing socialism from contiguous ideologies clarifies its transitional role. Versus democratic socialism, it commits more fully to collective ownership and planning, potentially bypassing markets or elections for direct implementation, making it less reformist and more structural. Compared to communism, socialism is often viewed as a milder phase, retaining elements like money or state apparatus for transition, whereas communism demands revolutionary abolition of classes and the state. On the anarchism front, socialism employs state tools for equity, which anarchists reject as inherently coercive, favoring voluntary decentralization instead. From the centrist right, it contrasts with secular liberalism's market individualism by subordinating personal enterprise to group mandates, and with traditional liberalism's ethical traditions by prioritizing material reform over moral heritage. Socialism's logical merits includes its focus on empirical equity, providing frameworks for addressing widespread disparities through coordinated efforts. Rationally, it extends materialist critiques to promote collective flourishing, countering individualism's potential for exploitation. Nonetheless, this emphasis may face challenges. Without transcendent ethics, it could justify coercive measures against perceived obstacles, leading to authoritarian drifts, though its reformist strains often incorporate safeguards to mitigate against such risks. This ideology thus marks a deepening of the spectrum's materialist orientation, facilitating our examination of its radical offshoots.